in general, I would say that Thailand is much more relaxed when it comes to things you are allowed to do or things that might not get you in any trouble, but that's definitely not to say you can just do whatever you want. A couple nights ago, there was an example of this firsthand, something I hadn't seen in a long time. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. If you are planning on coming to Thailand soon, especially if you're coming from America, there might be a few things that if you do it in America, it's gonna get you in trouble. So when you get here and it's allowed, it can definitely feel a little weird at first. It can feel like you're gonna get stopped by the police or something, but in all reality, you're good to go. Now, on the flip side of that, there's a few things that if you do it in America, you might still get in trouble, but it's not nearly as big of a deal, as opposed to Thailand, where if you get caught doing what we're talking about today, it's a big deal. In all reality, it's a life changer. And the other night, I saw it happen in person, which was definitely a first since I've been in Thailand. I've never even really heard about it happening. I'm sure it's not something that ends up in the headlines all the time or anything like that. But in all reality, we kind of see it all the time in America, and it's not really that big of a deal. But after seeing it here for the first time, it definitely got me thinking. Now, if you watched my previous video when we were talking about the herbal laws in Thailand, if you haven't yet, get on that. But if for any reason you are thinking that because that is legal and things like you can drink on the street, you could pretty much walk around with a beer almost anywhere you want in all reality, just because those things are so relaxed, I hope you are not thinking that the other side of party culture, the party favors, if you will. I hope you're not thinking that in Thailand it is very relaxed as well when it comes to those things, because in reality it is not. Now, even though Thailand was the first country in Southeast Asia to legalize weed, that doesn't mean that they relaxed their laws when it comes to other ingestibles. It is still very illegal. And that is a really good way to make sure your trip to Thailand ends on a very bad note. So if you don't know, I live in Jom Tien Beach, which is generally the quieter side of Pattaya. Usually there's not too much going on over here. It can get busy with like events and things like that, but generally when it comes to the whole party aspect of Pattaya, it's pretty quiet over here. The other night, I kind of ended up in a situation where it was something that you honestly see all the time in America, especially in California. So pretty much what happened is I was leaving my condo, I was getting ready to go grab some food at the market by my house, and as I'm walking down my street heading out towards Beach Road, I could see some police a ways down the street. There's another hotel that's at the end of my street, and they were kind of all out front. But as I'm walking up, I can see what I'm pretty sure it was an American guy from his accent. He could have been Canadian. That's really the only two. I can't tell most of the time. But essentially, the police are in the street watching him. He's kind of on like the terrace slash patio of the hotel. He's got his shirt off. He's super sweaty. He's on the phone, huffing and puffing. And initially, I think he's just on the phone. Maybe he's got a grievance with the hotel, something's going on. Maybe they're trying to overcharge him or something. So initially, I thought maybe he had called the police to settle some sort of dispute. But I bet you can guess that's not what was going on. So as I'm actually walking in front of the hotel, the guy's on the phone. He turns and sees me, and that time I have a shirt that's like a Spoon Sports. It's like a race car shirt, essentially. Guy turns, looks at me, turns away and says, yeah, there's a guy walking by in the Spoon Sports t-shirt. You can use his tattoos for verification. And as I'm walking, I hear that, I'm like, what? But I don't think too much of it. I continue walking down the street. I head into 7-Eleven on the corner to grab something real quick, and I realize I forgot my money. So I gotta walk back by again. So as I'm walking back down my street, I gotta walk by this guy in this whole situation again. And I was probably only past for maybe 4 or 5 minutes. And this time when I'm coming back, there's at least another 3 or 4 police officers there. So I can tell this is kind of getting serious. And I'm starting to tell it has something to do with him. And it's not him that called the police, because they're all standing on the other side of the street from him. Nobody's talking to him, trying to get his story or anything. And as I'm walking by the second time, he kind of walks up on me, is walking right next to me, and I don't know what he said, but he spoke 2 or 3 sentences of straight gibberish. And seeing how sweaty he was, if you're from America and you're hearing these signs, you probably know what is going on. But if you've never seen that before, it might be a little bit weird and you might not know what's going on, but me, it was pretty easy to spot. Now, if you don't know, with certain stimulants, one of the side effects, or I guess effects really that some people enjoy, I don't know how you would, it seems horrible to me, is that it keeps you awake. Now, if you do it for long enough, you're awake for long enough, some really weird things start happening to your brain and your body. If you've ever stayed up for even 24 hours, you know by the end of that how things kind of start to get foggy. You might be like hearing or seeing some stuff that's not really there. Now imagine being up for a week. And unfortunately with this guy, I think that's what was going on. If you've been awake for long enough, honestly, you can get to like a point of psychosis where you're awake, you're walking around, but there's things happening and you're hearing and seeing things that aren't there. And essentially, I think that's what was happening to this guy. So one thing I learned in America is with things like that, just mind your business, keep walking. So I kept it moving, went to the market, but when I came back, when I was walking by again about 15, 20 minutes later, that's when it got real. So I head to the market, get my food, get my goodies, and as I'm walking back, I'm getting ready to turn up my street, and I see that there's a police truck pulling around the corner. By the time I get back up to the hotel, the police have pulled out these like super long poles with like these big round hooks at the end of them, and some of them are like big, like almost fish hooks, minus they're not sharp. So essentially what they're using these for is trying to restrain the guy without having to get close to him, which is really smart. And then the cop in the front has a riot shield. Long story short, they go up to the guy, they grab him, guy ends up getting arrested. And honestly, at first, when I was walking by and I saw it, I was like, well, you're an idiot, man, that's what happens. And while that is mostly true, I started thinking about it a little bit after that, and I think there's more to it. Now, while I agree, yes, that's stupid and getting in trouble is something that happens when you make bad decisions like that, when I started thinking about it more, I started to realize that's a much different situation than I might be used to seeing in America. In America, it can essentially be easy to be a burnout. You were born there, you stay there, whether you're living on the streets, whatever. But I started thinking about this guy's situation more, and even though he might make some bad decisions, he obviously made good enough decisions at some point to buy a ticket, to decide to come to Thailand, even if that was for the wrong reasons. So honestly, I did kind of feel bad for him at that point. I've made some horrible decisions in my life. Trust me, I don't think horrible decisions make you a horrible person by any means. So if you are planning on coming to Thailand, Pattaya especially, there's plenty of bad decisions you can make here that in theory aren't gonna end you up in a place where honestly you're gonna lose a big chunk of your life. And when it comes to foreigners getting in legal trouble in Thailand, don't think for a second just because you're from another country they're gonna take it easy on you. In our reality, it's usually the opposite. Believe me, I do understand when the drinks are flowing and you're having a good time, it can be easy to make some bad decisions or things that you wouldn't normally do. But my advice, if you're in Thailand, this is just one no-fly zone. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully we can all learn a lesson from this. Hopefully avoid some bad decisions in the future. And I will see you guys in the next one.